Hi guys, Joe Klemczewski here, founder of the Diet Doc, and we are in the last segment of Coaching the Coaches. So you might be familiar with Aaron Merle and Shannon Morse going through this process for a photo shoot. And just a quick summary, they are two Diet Doc owners coming together from San Francisco and Nashville to create a new sub-brand called the Diet Doc Lifestyle. And they have planned about 3 months ago to do a photo shoot to get some different types of video content and even just photos for marketing material and so forth. So they use this opportunity to ask me if I would help them prepare for this as a way for them to even see a little bit more of the extreme side of what they already do as clinicians. So little history on that as well. It's a good time to go over just some of this whole peaking conceptual business that we talk about. You might not be familiar with that because of Aaron and Shannon's lack of time in that side of the industry, but about 20 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, I started writing for a company called Chalo Publishing in New York City, and they were a fitness magazine conglomerate. They also were one of the pioneers of natural bodybuilding organizations and so forth, the INBF, the WNBF. Now, little plug for Bob Bell, Tina Smith, and Nancy Andrews, who have taken over that organization, and it's, I still think, the best and a very phenomenal organization to be involved in. But back to what we're doing today, all the way back then, 20 some years ago, we were developing what would become concepts and principles for this industry that was just being born. We didn't realize it at the time, but as I was writing for these magazines and working with competitors, we were creating these principles and concepts that just didn't exist. And one of them was peak week. I vividly remember writing this article, and that day I was kind of creating these outlines and trying to define the jargon that was out there. And a lot of people did the old, carb deplete and carb load at the end. And I, of course, view the entire dieting process or contest prep process as a months type endeavor. You're looking at 4 to 6 months minimum. But when you fine tune the last month, you're all the way into that last week, there are things you need to do to understand and create trends in what's happening in your body for normal homeostasis, your body's desire or just innate biological need to keep everything level and consistent. So water, sodium, everybody talks about that, but carbs as well as other micronutrients, minerals, things like that really do matter. And you have heard Shannon, I think Aaron as well now, post videos about their final week. And I have always done kind of a spreadsheet where we go over every single variable in that final week, training, cardio, all of those types of things. And it's interesting, as Shannon and Aaron are both excellent Diet Doc clinicians. They work with athletes, they work with general population, mom and pops all across the country. They themselves have never been on the inside of the extreme sport of physique and bodybuilding and so forth. So they're getting a taste of that and seeing how some of those minute details can really affect their physiques, such as just having a conversation this morning. As we entered the week, we were on a very stable decline, still trying to lose a little bit of body fat, get tighter. But there are times of the week where we need to start increasing carbohydrates, for example, so they don't get too flat. So Shannon had a question this morning where her weight went up a little bit and was afraid, maybe that's not a good thing. But I could visually see in her body, the pictures from day to day, that her muscle tissue was still actually getting flatter because of glycogen levels decreasing. We're still not on too high of a carbohydrate level yet, even though it's increasing for her. So we did increase a little bit, and she sees the scale go up, and I said, no, you still look very flat, even flatter than yesterday. Scale could have been a fluke, could have been, she did go out to eat, she said, had extra sodium. So because I'm monitoring all these variables at once, I can say, we still need to do this. Let's keep carbs on track. We still want to elevate them toward the end of the week so you get a much fuller look. And I was able to give her a couple pictures. I had some clients competing last weekend, and an incredibly lean, shredded client of mine over in the international scene. Because he's that lean, you can see changes day to day. So I said, look at his abs. Of course, he's probably under 3% body fat. It just looks like tissue paper over his abs. But here he is very flat, and here he is very full. So in one picture, his rectus abdominis just looks like bricks in a wall compared to, much, much flatter. So even in muscle tissue that you might not consider, needing to be full, you can still look at those areas and just see through some of those visual symptoms of where you are as you're trying to monitor glycogen levels, water levels. The reason all this is important, muscle tissue being 65 to 75% water, that's your friend. We need water in the muscle tissue, so we're never going to dehydrate, but we need to channel that water where we want it, so into the muscle tissue, not outside of the muscle cells. That interstitial fluid, if that's leaking out, you're going to get that filmy, blurry look, and everybody says, you're watery. Well, sometimes that's actually just too much body fat remaining, but if you're as lean as that client I mentioned from overseas, you know you're dealing with actually just water. But by increasing water, you can increase muscle fullness. You just have to make sure you're not getting into spillover. So those are some of the things that we're fine-tuning, even for Shannon and Aaron, who don't have those extreme type goals for a stage. Obviously, you still want to look your best, right? You still want to look as tight as you can, as full and healthy in muscle tissue. So those are all the things that we're doing. We've gone through the entire culmination of 10 to 12 weeks of getting leaner. You guys know from their videos that Aaron has been very linear, just grinding down, has lost, even because she was losing a little bit before that, she's lost probably 12 or 13 pounds. Shannon was a little leaner to start, so she's going to end up only losing 4 or 5, but they're ending at both about 10% body fat. And the photo shoot is coming up here in just a couple days. And I'm going to see if I can get their permission and the photographers to live stream some of that. So I might set up some times and let you guys know where there's a window where we'll be doing that. So at least you can see kind of some of the fun that can happen with that and the technical details. Not all fun and glamorous, but interesting on how that all kind of unfolds on that day. So hope the series has been fun. We might do a little summary with them over the weekend just to wrap it up. But appreciate you guys watching. Thanks.